The shout cut through the afternoon air like a shattered pane of glass. Heads turned, and a collective stillness fell over the cracked pavement of Greenwood Avenue. A tall woman, her form a study in quiet confidence, paused her stride, dressed in olive green cargo pants. With a bottle of water in one hand and a folded grocery list in the other, she was a picture of mundane errands. Then, a police cruiser shrieked to a halt beside her, its red and blue lights pulsing a frantic rhythm against the brick facades. Officer Caleb Harkins, a man with the kind of smugness that only flourishes in the shadow of unchecked power, stepped out. His mirrored sunglasses hid his eyes, but his voice, sharp and laced with accusation, cut straight to her. "You fit the description," he stated, already closing the distance. "What description?" she asked, her voice steady, almost unnervingly so. He smirked, a patronizing gesture he'd likely perfected. Tall, black, athletic build, green pants. "We've had reports of a shoplifter around here. Sound familiar?" A few pedestrians slowed their pace. A mother pulled her child closer, as if the very air had become toxic. The woman, Tessa Lorraine, took a slow, deliberate breath. "I just came from Harold's Market. You can check." Harkins moved closer, the bitter scent of coffee and stale arrogance on his breath. "Or we can check your pockets first. Turn around." A flicker of something deep and primal stirred within Tessa. Not fear, but the muscle memory of 1,000 patrols in scorched deserts, where a command like that was a matter of life or death. Still, she held her ground. "You don't have a reason to search me." It was the wrong answer. Harkins' jaw tightened. He jabbed her shoulder with 2 stiff fingers. "I don't need your permission. You think you're special?" Across the street, a group of teenagers pulled out their phones, silent witnesses capturing the scene. Tessa's eyes narrowed. "Don't touch me again." He did. This time it was a shove, hard and brutal, sending her slamming against the brick wall. A woman in the small crowd gasped. Harkins leaned in, his voice a venomous whisper. "Don't get smart with me. You people think you can walk around like you own the place. Not on my block." "You people," she repeated, the words now razor-sharp, cutting through the venom. "Yeah, you people. Now spread your legs." He reached for his baton, and the crowd held its collective breath. Tessa's mind was split. One half was anchored to the cracked Greenwood sidewalk. The other was a world away, a landscape of sand and dust where hesitation was a luxury nobody could afford. She knew this wasn't about shoplifting. It was about control, about power. As the baton swung low, she moved. It was a blur of precision, a sidestep born of years of close-quarters combat training. Harkin's own momentum was his undoing. Her legs, swift and strong, swept out, hooking behind his knee. He hit the pavement with a grunt, his face a mask of shock. The baton clattered away. In a flash, she was on him, her knee pinning his arm, her hand twisting his wrist just enough to make any thought of his gun vanish. The other hand, with practiced ease, snatched his own handcuffs. The crowd erupted in a chaos of gasps and incredulous shouts. "What the—" Harkin's voice was now thin with pain and confusion. Tessa locked the cuffs, one wrist and the other, in under 5 seconds. Her movements were clinical, efficient. A grace born not from a class, but from a crucible of duty. She leaned close. "You ever put your hands on me like that again, you won't walk away from it." His face was a blotchy red, humiliation warring with pain. "You're assaulting an officer." "No," she corrected, her voice even. "I'm detaining a criminal." The phones in the crowd captured every word. She looked up, her gaze scanning the faces. Somebody called the precinct. "Tell them Officer Caleb Harkins just violated Section 242 of Title 18, deprivation of rights under color of law." The stunned crowd sprang into action. A man in a baseball cap was already dialing. A siren's wail grew from down the block. Harkins tried to struggle, but Tessa's weight was steady as stone. She didn't gloat. She simply held him, her calmness a louder victory cry than any shout could have been. As the siren screamed to a stop, 2 officers spilled out of a cruiser. One, a broad-shouldered sergeant with a salt and pepper beard, froze when he saw the scene. "Lorraine!" he said, his voice thick with disbelief. Harkins blinked. You know her? The sergeant stepped closer, his eyes flicking between Harkins and Tessa. That's Gunnery Sergeant Tessa Lorraine. 3 tours in Afghanistan. Navy Cross, you idiot. An audible ripple went through the crowd. No way. The Navy Cross? Harkins' mouth hung open, but no words came out. Tessa rose slowly, handing the cuffs to the sergeant. He's all yours. The sergeant's gaze burned into Harkins. Caleb, you just assaulted a decorated Marine on camera, in front of witnesses. The phones, now raised like spotlights, captured the moment. Tessa adjusted her shirt, picked up her water bottle, and began to walk away. As she passed, she spoke, not loudly, but with a clarity that cut through the silence. Respect isn't given by the badge. It's earned. The street was hushed. By sundown, the video had become a wildfire, racing across every social media platform. Decorated black Marine subdues racist cop in broad daylight, screamed the headlines. The comments were a battlefield of outrage and praise. The mayor issued a statement. The police chief promised an investigation. But this time, the usual noise didn't die down. The next morning, Tessa was at Harold's Market, picking up milk and eggs. Sergeant Sam Whitaker approached her, his eyes tired but sincere. I wanted to say I'm sorry you had to go through that, especially here. Tessa shrugged. Your hands weren't the ones that shoved me. No, he said, his voice cracking a little, but it's my badge that shares space with his. He suspended, effective immediately. Back at the precinct, Caleb Harkins sat in a windowless room. Internal Affairs played the video on a loop. Every replay was another nail in his coffin. He wasn't worried about his job anymore. He was worried about his name. Greenwood was a small town, and the story was now a permanent stain. That afternoon, a local journalist called, wanting her for the evening news. She declined. Instead, she went to the community center. A young boy, no older than 12, approached her. Miss, are you the lady from the video? I'm Tessa, she said, crouching to meet his gaze. He blurted out, You weren't scared? Being scared isn't the same as being powerless, she replied. You remember that. He nodded, a profound weapon of a thought placed in his small hands. 2 days later, she walked past the same stretch of sidewalk. A middle-aged woman in a green cardigan stepped forward. Miss Lorraine, she said, her voice trembling. I was here that day. I didn't say anything. I should have. Tessa looked at her for a long moment. Say something next time. That's how it changes. That night, on her porch, boots propped on the railing, she sipped her tea. She had seen enough to know victory was never clean. But this one, she thought, was a start. A crack. And cracks. She whispered to the quiet night. Let the light in. Maybe it was for the boy at the community center, or for the woman on the sidewalk, or for every camera that had captured her defiance. Respect isn't about rank or fear. It's about truth, and the truth always comes for you. She took a deep, full breath. For the first time in a long time, it felt like enough.